Don't look at the camera.
Okay.
If you look at the camera, it's like...
That's all you need to say.
All right.
Okay.
So we were just talking about something interesting, which is your background is you're a demand gen marketer.
Mm-hmm.
Go back in history a little bit, because you have an interesting story from Elle Woulfe to Lattice to what you're doing today. How did you get into demand gen, and I want to unpack like what demand gen was and then what it's transformed into.
Yeah, actually it's so funny you say that, because I just had this long I actually just did away with like the concept of demand gen on my team. And I have this whole theory on like what demand gen is now.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Which we're also going to talk about.
Okay. So I actually bought a marketing automation platform back in like 2000 and I don't know, 6 or something like that.
How much was that?
Oh gosh, geez, Dave.
It wasn't
right
cheap.
Off with the hard questions.
It wasn't cheap.
No, it wasn't cheap.
Couldn't have been cheap.
For even at that time, it wasn't. I mean, marketers weren't buying tons of technology at the time. So
that's the only reason why I asked how much it was, because I bet that feels like it had to have been the most expensive thing anybody had ever bought.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
And it was also like, marketers weren't good at like making those business cases, or like, and CEOs didn't know how to like, why should I justify this thing over this thing? So, you know, it was this typical case of we were using like a batch and blast email tool and like loading up lists from Salesforce and doing that whole thing. And I had a really smart guy who worked for me, who was really young, and he was like, I think we need to do this marketing automation thing. It's going to be a big deal. We should do it. And I was like, And then I started to look into it, and I was like, you're absolutely right. Like, it's kind of this one thing that we can own. We can have control over it. We can own our own data. Like, we can do all this cool stuff. So we ended up in this head-to-head deal with what was then Silverpop, which became VTrends, and Elle Woulfe. And we ended up buying Silverpop. And I got to be part of this, process where we built kind of the demand gen process and implemented the funnel and did all that stuff. And so that was my sort of first foray into that.
Right.
So fast forward, it had to have been like 2008, and because the economy just tanked, and suddenly I find myself out of work, and I got an interview at Elle Woulfe. And like all they wanted to talk about was, why did you buy Elle Woulfe? And I was
Did
like,
they remember you?
Oh yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah. I was uniquely positioned to like explain everything that went wrong in their sales process.
Which is like probably made you an amazing hire, because they can tell on the other side.
It was. I actually had all this intel. Like I had the business case we had built, and I had all these side-by-side comparisons of both platforms, and that's I think what got me my job at Elle Woulfe. And I think that was really when demand gen was starting to form into a real discipline and become a career path for people.
Yeah.
And I do credit the marketing automation ecosystem for kind of giving birth to that. I think that's where that all started.
Well, I think if you rewind, because my guess is, I wasn't there obviously, but 2006, like it's harder for you to make the case. What?
Well, you were in second grade.
No,
Where were you?
come
Where
on.
were you?
2006.
I wasn't there.
No, I mean I wasn't at your company.
Right,
I wasn't at your company.
I was like, oh, I feel so old.
No. In 2006, I was a freshman in college, a sophomore in college.
Okay, all right. You're close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just doing a bunch of nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Oh, please, I don't believe that for a minute.
No, nothing that has helped me today at all. I can tell you that. No, but because I'm sure it was hard to go and make this big expense, because marketing wasn't easy to attribute marketing to revenue. Well,
marketers didn't know how to prove much of anything, I think, back in those days. I mean, like, we weren't really asked to. At the beginning of my career, when I first got into marketing, like, I don't ever really remember being pushed for metrics, let alone like tie myself to revenue. That wasn't a thing. And the tools didn't exist really to do it.
What were you pushed for then?
Activity, showing that I was doing stuff. Like I worked for a lot of CEOs who I think, like, to justify that marketing should exist, they needed to show that they were just like doing a lot of stuff. Like that's literally what it was.
We're at a lot of events, we're printing out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of that, to be honest with you. And it wasn't really until I got to Elle Woulfe that it was like, oh, this is hardcore. I mean, Elle Woulfe they were trying to lead the market and have a philosophy about how this should be done. So marketing had a number, and it was an opportunity number. We carried an SQO number. We were all bonused on it. Our comp plans were tied to it. Elle Woulfe sent a marketer to President's Club every year. Like, it was a real thing.
So did that feel like a big culture shift for you? Like, oh, I'm among all these people like me.
Well,
now.
then it was actually a little intimidating because it was cooking for chefs. It was like, oh, okay, this is where the big kids are.
I feel like that every day because like we sell to marketing people.
Oh, yeah.
And so if there's a typo,
Oh,
if
no.
there's something off, like people love to take a screenshot and send that to me because it's like, oh, you're going to show me how to do my job, buddy? Well, check this out.
Well,
You can't even spell.
I think I say this, so I mean, I've made a career of marketing technology to marketers.
Yeah.
That's what I've done for most of my adult life. And I do think like you do have to work a lot harder. I think marketers like marketing and they check it out and they're interested in it, but they also scrutinize it.
Which I love it though for that reason
yeah.
because I actually feel like I think one of the, so I've had a similar only done marketing. Well, I started off in PR just because I needed a job. And
That's why everyone starts out in PR.
they said I'll pay $10 an hour to come be here, and great, so I did that. And then, but then since then, I've only done marketing to marketers just by coincidence, Constant Contact, HubSpot, and Drift. And what I've realized that I love is like, if you know it, it makes the hard part of marketing much easier, which is like, I would be terrible at my job if I was like if I was doing marketing at a cybersecurity company or storage or something.
I tried it. I was really bad at it. So I was bad at it, but I don't like. I mean, to some extent, I think I was lazy. Like I was like, I don't know this person. I'm not sure I care to know this person. It is easier when the persona that you're marketing to is you. I also think the nice thing about it is, like I said, right, like. You can get away with a lot less when you're marketing to marketers. Like you have to be creative, you have to be witty, you have to be clever, you have to be all these things. And I actually think it makes the challenge of marketing to some extent even harder. So I think, if I were marketing to a different persona, the challenge would be elsewhere. I'd have to get to know that buyer and that would be really hard and there would be other things that would be difficult. But marketing to marketers really forces like the discipline around, is this the best thing I could do? Like, am I being lazy here? Is it funny? Is it interesting? Is it engaging? And
somebody's going to call me out.
Someone's going to call you
Would
out.
I think in most industries this wouldn't work, but the thing that I think, and obviously the advice is like, do what your customer, listen to your customers, talk to your customers.
Yeah,
but a lot of times I just like, am like, would I click on this?
Oh, totally.
Would I read this?
Oh, I sent an email yesterday to my team and I was like, worst subject line ever. And then 2 people were like, I think it's hysterical. And I'm just like, oh God, all right, well, it's
which
subjective.
Which might not always be the right thing because I think I might be biased in a different way.
Oh, 100%. And that's the thing too, you have to remember like your own value system and opinions, and it is somewhat subjective. Like you can't objectively say like, well, that's good marketing.
Totally.
But I do think like one thing I like about marketing to marketers is that I do think it allows you to be a bit more creative than you could be with some other, cohorts. And I love that part of it because for as left-brained as I am, I really like the arts and crafts part of marketing a lot.
Yeah, like I could never be at a different place and do something like I posted this LinkedIn video, which is like I'm going to do 30 sales demos in 30 days.
Oh, I saw that.
I'm going to actually sell.
See, I started as a BDR. I would never do that.
Well, now somebody commented on this LinkedIn post the other day, and they're like, I didn't get a demo from you. And I'm like, I did 30 and my month is over. Like, what do you want me to do?
I met my quota.
Back to my regular job. But like, I could do stuff like that because I don't need to prep. Like, I'm just going to talk to you about how I think that we can help you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so you go to Eloqua. Did it feel like, where was Eloqua, by the way?
Eloqua was also a Toronto-based business. I have made a career out of just commuting.
You live in this area and then in Boston where we are locally, and then you just go to Canada for work.
Yeah, Toronto's a really nice second
Toronto
home.
is amazing.
It's a great city.
Toronto's
it's easy to get to. Toronto. So Eloqua was founded in Toronto. They were headquartered here in the U.S., but in Vienna, Virginia, when they originally, incorporated here.
Were Brian Cardin and like people I know,
Chernoff,
Brian Cardin,
all
they
those
were
people.
in Toronto, or
no, they were
here?
in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So we had what we like to refer to as the Marketing Center of Excellence was in Kendall Square. The marketing team was.
You had a good group there.
Oh, we had a killer group. It was a really, really good group. It was, Brian used to refer to it as the golden age of marketing.
Of course.
Yeah. So it was good, and I was
This
really.
is where we cut to the footage of Brian and Joe on this. We had Brian on this.
I know. I saw
and it was like 1,000 degrees that day, and this is when Gonzalo. We were originally gonna do this like coffee with CMO. It's at a coffee shop. It was like 200 degrees out, and he's carrying all the gear, just pouring sweat. And we were like, you know what?
Nice.
For Brian's, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it in person.
That's nice.
Has he had the note card in his pocket since then?
Oh, he doesn't go without the note card. The
love
note
that.
card is always there.
He has an index card in his front pocket.
Always.
I love that.
Always.
I have a little pocket.
Oh, he is among the most interesting. He's like the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
Like it's real subtle. You would never know, but he really is. Do you know he's like an unbelievable tennis player?
I did. I thought you were gonna say like he to me feels like a jazz musician.
Yeah, he's also that. He's an incredible saxophone player. I've been to parties at his house and they're like jamming, all these like dudes, like these older guys.
What do I have to do to get an invite to a Brian Carden?
Oh, you got to get in tight
I
with
feel
him,
like it's
then
like
you get an invite.
great wine. Someone's on piano.
It's real good. It's all those things. Yeah.
All right, so you had this crew. You
Yeah,
had this crew here in Boston, Cambridge area.
Yep.
Was it hard being like a? Did you feel like you were a remote team and everybody was in Toronto? Like you had the CMO in here? Or?
No, Elle Woulfe did this really well. So actually, they were very distributed. You had the CEO and CFO were in Vienna, Virginia. The CMO was here in Cambridge. Our chief revenue officer was in Austin, Texas. So it was real distributed. There was an office in San Francisco, and Elle Woulfe really built a discipline around how do you have remote teams and make them really feel like part of the company. It was one of the tightest and sort of best cultures I've ever worked, I've been a part of, and it was totally remote. So they did something, I don't know what it was. I've tried to put my finger on it. I mean, it had a lot to do with bringing people together very regularly, before people used Zoom, they did everything on video. I mean, every meeting was on video. You were always looking at people. Yeah. So there was a good discipline there. But their philosophy, I think, was like, hire great people no matter where they are. Part of our marketing team was in Toronto. So that, it's got the normal challenges. But right now I manage a team of marketers that all sit in Toronto when I'm here in the Northeast. So it's totally doable.
All right, so tell me what you're doing today. I want to know, like, how many people are on your team? How do you have it structured? And especially you said, coming from you, demand gen.
Oh yeah.
Background. You're doing away with the concept of demand gen.
Yeah. So like, there's this weird thing that I think happens in a lot of demand gen, or in a demand gen group, or sometimes you have like this demand gen function and like a marketing ops function. And then you have like content people over here, and they're not like part of the same team. And it's just like, it's always been problematic for me, because I think at least content, that type of content, sort of top of funnel, mid funnel content, is all about demand gen. Yeah. So I sort of like broke that association, and I actually made this kind of integrated, or like revenue marketing or growth marketing function or whatever. And it's like, it's marketing programs, it's the orchestration of demand, which I actually think demand gen today is mostly orchestration. Like, that's what it is, right? It's like trafficking and asset creation and all that stuff. Yeah. And I bundled that up with content. Yeah. So it's really concerned with the themes and the offers and the campaigns and the channels, and it's all in one group. But I don't have like a head of demand gen running it. What I actually did was I took my really great head of demand gen, who probably knows our product better than anybody else, and made him our head of product marketing. Which was everyone thought that was like kind of a weird move. Yeah. And I'm like, but why? He's already an evangelist. He knows our product really well. He knows where all the gaps are. So he's the best person for this job.
I love that mindset, because I think it's easy to get caught up in like, this person is doing this, and so they have to go deep in this, where it's like, wait a second, if we move this person here, it just seems crazy. You have somebody who knows the product the best, but you're going to hire somebody who is going to do product marketing who isn't that way?
This was exactly, this kept me up at night. I was like, so we had this big gap in product marketing that we needed to fill. And the more I thought about it, I was like, well, what's really important for product marketing? Knowledge of the product. And it's like, so how are you going to hire someone from outside who has no knowledge of the product to be really good at product marketing? It'll take them a long time to ramp.
I think in product marketing, like if you're passionate about it, my guess is knowing this person probably is super passionate about it. Because you can't love a B2B product, right? Like, unless
you got to be a big nerd.
You got to be a big nerd.
Oh yeah. And it also helps that he's Canadian.
Perfect.
So very earnest.
That's a trifecta.
Yep.
All the right ingredients.
He's getting it done. Yep.
And then you can teach or learn the other 10%, which is like, what is product marketing, right? Like, because I bet you could take somebody. This is one of my biggest frustrations with marketers is like, I think sometimes we get so caught up in like what the textbook best practice says, which is like, I would rather take your person and say, write positioning for this product, with no framework, with no magic document, then have somebody who knows like the positioning template and fill that out. I bet you that one's going to be better.
So it's funny that you say that. Like, I think about this a lot. Like, so in my experience over the past 4 years, so this was my first job where I got to run marketing. And like, I was a demand gen marketer. I had not run all of marketing before, but I had done, like you, I had touched other parts of marketing. I had worked on the PR and comm side. I worked in product marketing. So I had fairly broad knowledge. And it's so easy to kind of let like history and best practice guide you and just like, I'm gonna do the thing that everybody does. And then, but like if you're honest with yourself and you really think about how to solve problems, often it points to different types of solutions. And so I'm really lucky to work in an organization with a CEO who's real like supportive and completely, he's just a sane and normal person. Like, there's no like ego. He's not like, I said to do it, so you're gonna do it. He's like, you think that's the right thing to do? Let's see if it works.
Sure.
So I've tried a lot of really unconventional things. Like, so I have a great marketing programs person on my team, and he was a BDR, and he had no marketing experience, but he knew our buyer really well. I had seen that he had really good communication skills. I looked at all his emails. He was really funny and witty, and he wanted to get a career in marketing, and like, it was a great move for everybody. So it's just like, I just don't think those conventional, just because that's the way everyone has done it doesn't mean that's the way everyone should do it.
What is one of your biggest, what's one of your biggest learnings, like taking on, now you own all of marketing. What do you think, because I think we do this because we want to talk to people who are in a similar position, who one day want to run marketing, for example, right?
Yep.
What are the things that you didn't realize?
Oh gosh, so many things. I mean, it was interesting. So obviously the company that I joined is not the company I work for now. I mean, when I joined, we were 20 people maybe. We were very small. We hadn't raised any money. It was super scrappy.
So when you started, you had to do more. You were doing more.
And it was actually part of why I took the job. Why I really took the job was because I fell in love with the problem that these guys were trying to solve. And they built something that I, as a marketer, looked at and was like, I've needed that my whole career. Like, if someone built this, thank you, you know? So that was a big part of it. But I also I felt as a director of demand gen, I was the senior director of demand gen at Lattice. I was building teams, and I was like, I knew that discipline really well, and I knew how to do it. But I felt like I was just like managing people mostly. And I felt like my skills were starting to atrophy. At least I thought that. And I was like, I want to like do the work. I want to roll up my sleeves and like build some stuff. And so I took this job. There was pretty much no team. There were like a few people, and they weren't all full time. And so I was like, I'm just gonna see what I can do. And oh man, my skills had not atrophied. Like, I was fine. But I had to do the work. Like, I had to do all the heavy lifting. Like,
I wrote something about this week. I mean, who knows when this is gonna go live? So this week is irrelevant. But like, and I said I used to get, probably like 5-6 years ago, I would go and ask a lot of people like you for marketing advice. And I would say, look, you know, you're on the path to run marketing somewhere. Like, what do you do? Like, you know, what advice would you give me? And everybody gave me this advice, which I realize now I completely disagree with, and did not help me out. Which is like, specialize in something. Yeah. Pick that one thing and specialize. Yeah. And what I've had to do is, like, instead I said, I'm going to join a company where I'm betting on the people and the problem, so the founders and the market, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm gonna have to do all of it.
Yeah.
And so as a
Get
result,
kind of good at a bunch of things.
had to do, you know, PR, events, SEO, blog, webinars.
Yeah.
I
had the BDR team reporting into me for several months this year.
And had you ever managed BDRs in your life?
Never in my life. And like, you know, I'd been close to it, and I had a point of view about it, and it was at a point in time in the company's history that it was the right thing to do, and it just needed to be done, and I needed to manage it, and I did. But I had no idea how to do that, but that's what makes it fun. I mean, in a company like this that's growing so fast, we're a growth stage company. We've now raised 2 rounds of funding. I mean, we're just Deloitte Fast 50 in Canada, so we're growing real fast. We're now well over 100 people. My job has not been the same. I mean, every year I've been there, it's been totally different. It's like remarkable to look back on and go, wow, that was the same company. So you have to, I mean, while in that first year or two was like all the building and the which I love. I love building demand infrastructure and process, and like, I'm a process person. I love that stuff. I love, I love figuring out how we're going to measure things, and but now it's much more about building teams, managing people, figuring out how to like work on a management team and have that be my number one thing. I mean, you have to start to get used to like, oh, those things that made you good at your job before are not the things that are going to make you good at your job now. And you have to get comfortable with that. So I think
what you said is really important, which is like that mindset of just like always reinventing yourself. Yeah. Like, every year is going to be different, and you got to figure out what are the things that you're going to go work on this year.
Yep. But it's much easier, I will say, when you're on a winning team. I mean, to be on a team with great people where the company is growing fast, is like, that's what enables that kind of growth, because you're forced to constantly like level up and
you don't really
find
get that,
some new
if
part of
you're
your
not,
brain.
If the team isn't winning, you don't get the opportunities to like experiment, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
All right, I want to do something else with you before you go, but I'm interested in what are your rituals as a remote marketing leader? Like how do you keep the ship running without being on the like, hey, can I grab you for a second?
You're gonna be so unimpressed with this.
No, maybe there's nothing, and it's great.
So okay, one thing that I am.
You just have cameras in every room of your house. They're always on.
No, it's so crazy. So one thing that I am like obsessed with is like the appropriate use of time. My team's time. Like there's nothing drives me more crazy than like sitting in a meeting that I'm just like, why am I here? Why is this meeting happening? Like not even like even if I'm the one who thought we should have that meeting, like I'm just like, oh, this is a waste of time. So. And my team will laugh when they see this, but like at least every 6 months, I completely like burn down the meeting schedule and I start over. I
just did this.
I gotta think it. I gotta rethink it, and there's a better way to do it.
The past 2 weeks has been the most free I've felt in a long time, because I just hard reset.
Yeah, you gotta do it sometimes.
And because you're getting all these things that don't have a purpose or a need.
Yeah. Or they did at one point and they don't now.
Sure.
And so, I mean, as my team has changed, I've had to really rethink, like, how do we spend time
Elle
together?
has her burned, like, I'm just destroying the calendar phase.
I do it a lot.
Okay.
Like, I do it pretty regularly. That's one thing. I almost never have a communication. If it's going to be longer than, like, couple sentences, it's happening on video. Like, we're looking at each other. I had to have a conversation with someone yesterday about a holiday card, and I knew it was like going to be a little bit more than I could convey over Slack, and I was like, you got a second? Let's just like hop on Zoom. So we do that. We do on my team, our marketing like Slack channel is we make ample use of that thing. I mean, often for ridiculous reasons.
We make ample use of our Slack channel.
I can. We do too. I mean, but it helps me to feel really connected to what's going on even when I'm not there.
Yeah.
You also have to be there. I spend a lot of time with my team. I try to go at least once a month. I go to a lot of events, and a lot of people on my team go to events, so we rendezvous in various locations, and so we have the discipline to do that stuff. Those are the big things. I mean, it's all about communication, and just like, you got to stay on top of it. That's it.
And probably how do you set goals? Like, my guess is this system doesn't work if people don't have clear goals.
They have to be super clear. So one thing I will say, I think about, especially being a remote manager, like I started out as a remote head of marketing. And I knew early on, like the only way for that to work is if the people I hired were senior enough. Like I couldn't have people on the ground in Toronto who were like looking for help all the time. They had to be fairly autonomous. And so I hired a sort of a layer of management that was working their way up to being senior and could operate without a ton of oversight. That's an important thing. We take goal setting pretty seriously. It's a company-wide quarterly initiative that starts with company goals and rolls down. I try to stick to like 3 goals, but I try to make it very, very clear how they sort of map to each of the people.
What are your 3 goals for right now?
So we have a goal around SEO and findability, getting found. SEO hasn't been we're in sort of a niche category, an emerging category.
How do you pick that, like, out of the 20 things because you picked that as a goal, becomes a priority?
Because the time was right now. I mean, again, like so for a company our size and our stage, we have incredibly mature demand, infrastructure and process. Like, I'm not worried about that. I know how to.
Because you love infrastructure and process.
I know how to do that part. So it's almost table stakes to say, well, we're going to have an SQO goal, and we're going to know how to build a really crazy model to figure out what that should look like, and we're going to do all this stuff. Like, that's almost, so then you have to look in the margins of well, what's going to help us grow? It's all about growth.
Who does
right?
that? Who does the model on your team? Marketing ops?
I have a revenue ops person,
cool.
And so he does the model. Yeah,
cool.
He owns that model, and we've added a ton of interesting and fun and sophisticated things to make that model more bulletproof over the past several quarters. But SEO was a thing where you start to go, we were this kind of niche category. It's starting to become people are looking for something like us, even if they're not sure what to call it. We need to be there when they're looking, and we hadn't done a good job of investing in those kind of adjacent spaces. So I made it a priority.
And how do you set? What is it like? How do you set a goal around SEO? Is it traffic?
It's like we carved out a couple of keywords that we thought were really important, and we want to increase our organic search ranking.
Awesome.
And not by a certain amount, just increase, make it better. Because then you can start to go, okay, so if now we've got a benchmark.
So you don't say this term is on the bottom of page 1, and we want to get to position 2.
No, that's what we'll do next.
Okay.
Today it's just create the content, build the process, build the discipline and the muscle memory around this is an important thing that we need to do, so that it starts to get built into our DNA.
So wins are people are high-fiving because all of a sudden this page now ranks
It's
for
better.
blank.
It's better. And now I can say, okay, now we got to make it better by an order of magnitude.
Which is also a different skill set and person that has to work on that. Or you can teach it, but that's optimizing. Like, how do you get from position 8 to position 2? And
yes, absolutely. And we always have a demand-centric goal, and that demand goal is always tied to a conversion goal, because I will never sign up for a demand goal that's just like I could, pump all kinds of crap in there. That's one.
All right, so SEO is one. What are the other two?
So the other one is like kind of content specific. So
you have like your revenue pipeline are kind of like, you don't count those as goals because that's just
those are company-wide goals.
That's just life.
Yep, that's life.
You have 3 kind of marketing priorities.
And those company goals are goals for everyone in the company. Like everyone shares those goals. They're departmental goals that my team has. So one is around demand gen, one is around SEO this quarter, and the other one is actually around persona level content, because we got really good at marketing to demand gen marketers. That tends to be our buyer, but we tend to focus primarily on them. And really, there's a lot of other buyers involved in our deal cycles. So we set a goal of creating 3 new unique pieces of content per each additional persona that we see in our buying cycles, and so it's a quantitative goal. It's a number of things, but it's also a little soft. Like it's kind of up to us what that is, what that means.
Or like we do stuff like that, which is like we need more enterprise case studies.
Yeah.
Well, let's have 5.
Yep.
Great.
There you go.
Okay, I know I said we were going to go, but one more thing we didn't talk about.
Okay.
You told me you were shifting to focus more on brand.
Yeah.
Why? And what does that mean?
Oh, here's where I get to give you a compliment.
No.
I do. I will.
I love compliments.
Yeah, so I heard you talk about it. So we both spoke at Flip My Funnel this past summer, and you did this whole thing on basically like brand driving demand. And I think that's true. I think that, well, first of all, like people have to know who you are, but they have to like you. It has to be a brand that you care about, that you relate to, that, you find interesting. Now it's really hard in MarTech, right? Because there's a bajillion, different brands, and it's hard to tell one from the other, and yeah.
We interviewed somebody the other day, and it was one of those, in a good way, demand gen ops people where he came in and he had his laptop open in the interview, and he had, the front of his laptop was every MarTech vendor you could imagine.
The whole thing, the whole landscape.
Basically the landscape. I was like, this is why you need a brand, because this person's just gonna like whoever's giving out swag and put on the computer.
And it's funny you say that, because I think like I've struggled to know what that means. Like, what does that mean to have a brand? And I guess it came into clear focus over the past several months, where I was like, we rebranded in May. And that allowed us to sort of like fine tune how we talked about ourselves and what's our message and all that stuff. But like, it still wasn't really clear when you looked at us, like what our point of view was. Like, what do we really, like your whole thing is about now, and right? And like, marketing's happening right now and your buyer wants it right now. And it's really clear what your point of view is. And I felt like we were soft on that. And so we've spent the past couple months getting really sharp on that. And now it's like, well, how do you amplify that and elevate it? And
I think that's what you said. Is I didn't expect you to answer it that way, but to me, that's the most important piece. Is like, I think you just have to pick a side.
Yeah.
Even if there's another side that is like just as effective, you just need to stand for something, because there's just too much noise to not stand for anything anymore. Where like, I think it was different 2005, 2006. You could just have something and people are like, ooh, cool, okay. You have to have a reason.
And I think, that was our problem, was that we kind of stood for a lot of things. We like this and we like that and whatever. And it's like, it's not enough.
Yeah.
And so, our whole point of view today is that, buyers live in this on-demand world, and they expect the same kind of experiences in their B2B lives that they have in their B2C lives. And the way that B2B marketing works is just, it doesn't work for them. It's not really personalized or curated or easy to access. It doesn't surface the information they want when they want it. And so B2B marketing needs to be on demand. And so once that started to like form as a point of view, it became really easy to see like the path to like, how do you build a big brand around this? So I'm excited to do that. It's been fun.
Just buy a lot of stickers.
I'm gonna buy all the stickers and t-shirts and hats.
That was old school. Okay, all right. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear a demand gen person like yourself starting to think about the softer side.
Isn't it?
I'm just kidding. I think it's important. I think like today you gotta have all pieces of it. And I wanted to interview you on this because I think you have a lot of interesting ingredients, like your background from Elle Woulfe, and running a marketing team being remote and having a successful team and a good time doing it.
Well,
So.
you can ask them how successful
Thanks
it
for
is.
doing it. No,
Thank you.
this is all these segments we do you, and then we do the team. So we have them all coming on Zoom after this to tell us how you really are.
They would say good
Does this
things.
match?
They like me. They would say good
All right,
things.
thanks for doing it.
Thank you. Thanks very much.